Okay, so we continue our look at Shakespeare's Tempest. On the top of page two, um, this idea continues that art is a metaphor. Sorry, I'm looking to see if it's going to rain. I don't want it to rain on my cool jacket. We continue this idea about art being a metaphor for about magic being a metaphor for art and art being a metaphor for magic. That one of the things Shakespeare's doing in the play is an extended metaphor that repeats and repeats and repeats, where he thinks about the relationship is creating a play like creating a spell. Is Shakespeare sort of like a wizard? Um, and so at the top of page two, Miranda has told her father, if by your art, by your wizardry, you created this thing, allay it, like stop the storm, don't hurt these people. Miranda's very sweet; she doesn't want anybody getting hurt. The sky, it seems, would pour down stinking pitch, but that the sea, mounting to the welkin's cheek, dashes the fire out. Right? It means it seems like the lightning would set things on fire. Except there's so much water, it puts out the fires. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer, right? She saw all the people in danger and she worried about them. A brave vessel, who had no doubt some noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. So she sees this. She imagines that the people on the ship were noble creatures. They must have been great, and they're all died. Oh, the poor cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Right? She's upset because they all died. By the way, spoiler alert: nobody died, but she thinks they did. And she says, "Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth or air. It should the good ship so have swallowed, and the frauding souls within her." So Miranda, I'm going to move because I think it's going to rain, so I'm going to move a little bit. Miranda, she's really worried. She says that she saw the ship, and she saw the ship sinking in the ocean, and all these people, and the lightning, this crazy storm, and the sinking ship. And she imagines all those people must have been such nice people, and now they're drowned. And she was like, "We got to stop. Could you stop your magic and save them?" And Prospero says to her, "Be collected, like calm yourself. No more amazement, right? Don't think this is so crazy. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done. That's important. No harm done." She says, "Oh, woe the day." He says, she doesn't really understand what he's saying. He says, "No harm," he tells her again. "I have done nothing but in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art. No, not knowing whence I am." And anyways, he wants to talk about their history together. So she says, "You don't even know who you are," because when she came to this island, she was too little to really remember anything. So he says, I did this in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am," meaning where I came from, "nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father." She said, "More to know, never meddle with thy thoughts." I didn't know there was more to know. He says, "This time I should inform thee farther." Um, and here's the crucial part. He says to her, she's crying about all those people on the ship that she thinks died. He says, "Have comfort. The direful spectacle of the wreck, which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have with such provision in mine art so safely ordered that there is no soul, not so much perdition as an air, betid to any creature in that vessel which thou heardst cry, which thou sawest sink." So he says everything's fine. He says all those people that you thought, because she felt so bad, for all these poor souls, and that she saw sinking. And he says, "No, actually, they're all fine. It was all an illusion." He says it wasn't a real storm. He created it with his magic, and it was sort of an illusion storm. Even though it seemed like they were sinking, and it seemed like they were in danger, they weren't really in danger, and they weren't really sinking, and everyone's completely fine. Doesn't seem like the most interesting part of the play, but I think it is, because if we think about the metaphor, if is Shakespeare like Prospero? Is spellcasting like making a play? Then you see it right here. Miranda saw all the people on the ship. She thought they were in danger. And Prospero says, no, they weren't in danger. It was just an illusion. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you guys saw a movie called Othello, and you were upset by all the terrible things that were happening to Desdemona. But there are all the actors. It was an illusion. It wasn't real. Nobody was really killed. Nobody was really hurt. You thought they were in danger, but of course they weren't really in danger. Shakespeare created an illusion. He made up characters, and you cared about those characters, and you felt like they were real. But actually, everybody's fine. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got wounded. Iago's a bad person, but he's not real. Shakespeare made it up, and so I always tell you guys to think about author and audience, right? What is the author doing when he creates the work of art, and what do audiences get out of it? Notice that there's another metaphor here. Miranda is a metaphor for the audience of Shakespeare's play. What does she have in common with the audience of Shakespeare's play? Well, she feels very upset when she sees bad things happen, just like you feel upset when you see Desdemona getting murdered. But in both cases, for Miranda and for you, everybody's fine. It's just an illusion. It's an illusion created that was always under control. It seemed like it was out of control. Oh, Iago's going to get all these people killed. But it was always under control because just like Prospero was in charge of the illusion and made sure it all came off safely, Shakespeare wrote the play, and he's using actors, and it's all an illusion, and everybody is safe. So this is the major metaphor I want to really think about in this play, is this idea that that Prospero is kind of like a wizard. I'm sorry, that Prospero as a wizard is kind of like Shakespeare, who makes the play. Okay, cool. Then we're doing pretty good, I think. Let's keep going a little bit. I'm going to skip ahead and go grab another part of the play to look at. There's other things I'm interested in here. Oh, no, maybe I do want that, actually. Okay, so one of the things that happened to Prospero was he gives Miranda the whole story, because Miranda was a little kid when they got to the island. And so what Prospero does is he tells her the story, and it's a long, rambling story. It's not the most interesting thing in the world, but he tells her like this whole story of where he came from. Prospero used to be a kind of governor in Italy. He was like an important person. He was the Duke of Milan. He was a governor. Like, think about him like a, I don't know, that's all I got. He's like a governor of a sort of area in Italy. And he tells the story of what went wrong and how he ended up on this island with this little girl who is now grown up to be Miranda. They've been there for 12 years. So Miranda was like 4 or 3 when Prospero came over with her to this island where they haven't. And Miranda has never seen another human being. She's seen Ariel and Caliban, but they're magical creatures, and we'll talk about them later. But Prospero is the only human being she knows. So he tells her the story of what went wrong. And he tells her, my brother and thy uncle, called Antonio, I pray thee mark me, pay attention, that a brother should be so perfidious, he's such a bad brother. He whom next thyself of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state, as at that time through all the signatories it was the first, and Prospero the prime duke. So being reputed in dignity, and for the liberal arts without parallel. Liberal arts, remember, we'd already talked about this, the arts that people study to be free. That was what Prospero was doing. He was studying the liberal arts. Those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported in rapt and secret studies. So Prospero really was interested in learning. He wanted to learn the liberal arts. He wanted to learn all that philosophy and really magic, wizard shit. But philosophy too. They used to be connected in the older days. Philosophy used to be they thought philosophy and magic were intimately connected. A lot of sort of famous philosophers people thought were like also wizards. And so Prospero says he was supposed to be the governor of this area in Italy. And he basically was so interested in studying books that he said to his brother, okay, you know what? You're my brother. I love you. You be in charge of the government shit. I'm going to go read books in a library. And it was at that point that his brother betrayed him and took over, because his brother didn't want to be the acting governor. He wanted to be the whole governor. Prospero was just like, I'm still technically in charge, but I'm going to let you run everything. And that guy was like, well, fuck that. I want to be actually in charge. And so Antonio betrays him. And he tells the story of this. I pray thee mark me, I, thus neglecting worldly ends, because he was more interested in books than in the world. He was neglecting worldly ends, because he had all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind, with that which, but by being so retired or prized all popular rate. So he really cared about books and not about the world. He let his brother care about the world, and he just got lost in books. He neglecting worldly ends. In my false brother awaked an evil nature, because he let the brother do all the running of the government, and the brother was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do all the running, I want to be in charge too. And my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood as contrary as great as my trust is. So basically, his point was that the brother took over. Prospero was like, you be in charge of running the country, even though I'm technically, you think about it like a king who was like, I'm going to go be in the library and study shit. You're going to run the country. And then that guy was like, okay, if I'm going to run the country, I'm going to be the fucking king. And so he kicked Prospero out. The point is that Prospero got lost in books. Shakespeare also spent a lot of time reading books so that he could write these plays. Most of Shakespeare's plays are based off of books written by other people, mythology shit and history, ancient Roman history and different kinds of things. And so Shakespeare is similar. Just again, the metaphor, is Prospero like Shakespeare? Well, they both got really lost in reading books. So we'll continue this in the next video.